Hi, everybody. Guys, can you hear me? I can't hear you. Let's see. Let me just start off by saying, hi, everybody. This is Marion. If you've watched my videos before, you know I'm a reseller, and I also have a brick and mortar store, and I wrote a few books, and one of them was called Anyone Can. And I think anyone can do anything that someone else can do. And I'm going to introduce you to these resellers who we have to get their mic working first, or me hearing it. But I am going to introduce you to Ryan and Lindsay. Let's get our mics working. Let's see why I can't hear you. So sorry. I tested this earlier. I'm going to see if I could echo cancellation. No. Oh. I don't have something that's asking me to do that. Help. Where are you? Add to stream. Hi, guys.
Okay.
Everybody, excuse me. This is my first episode on StreamYard. But did you guys hear? I just want to welcome you. I watch you guys on video. I have a bunch of people that I watch. You're one of them because I do believe that if someone can be successful, anyone can if they put the work in it. And and I know you guys put a lot of hard work into it because you go shop and get 100 pairs of sneakers, 97. I mean, you guys, it's how I am. And some people don't understand because there's such drive, and that's how you guys are. So I want to welcome you. And if you can tell us how this whole thing started. First tell us where you are right now and your success. This way we can go backwards.
I'm Lindsay. This is my husband, Ryan. We live up in Maine. It was like 7 degrees this morning, so we're freezing. We're full-time shoe resellers.
Yeah.
And you're successful. I see that because I watch your videos, correct?
Yeah, well, there's lots of different ways that you can determine what successful is, and we like to pull from both ends when we talk about success. I mean, yes, we're profitable. We can pay all our bills. We put money away in savings because that's important. But we also have a lot of free extra time that we get to spend with each other, with our family,
right,
and anything that we have going on. So if success is defined by a life where you get to choose what you want to do and you can still pay all your bills, then yes.
Yes. Well, yes, people are different. Some people just want one thing and some people want both. I think whatever people think their success is definitely what it is. And I think you guys have both, which is great. I'm going to look here, even though I'm supposed to be looking there because I want to see you. You two are just fantastic. So now I want to go backwards and I want to ask you, what brought you here? How did you start this? Did you buy a pair of sneakers and flip it and then said, oh my God, we could do this? How did you do it?
So it really started out of necessity at first. I had gotten fired from my job and I got home and he was a bartender at the time. And I was like, oh my God. Out of the blue got fired, and he was like, yeah, I hate my job. And we were just like in this place where we didn't want to be where we were at. And we decided, let's take this month and just sell everything in our house that we don't use on Facebook.
Okay.
And let's try to pay our bills this month, doing this on our own, not having to clock in anywhere, not having to have a boss, just completely be on our own for a month. And let's see if we can do this. And long story short, we'll go into more detail, but we did it our first month and we were like, okay, we can sell some stuff and make money and not go get jobs somewhere, because we knew we could always use that as a backup. But that's
right.
out of necessity, just needing to pay our bills and not wanting to go, you know, clock in anywhere.
Okay, I totally get that because that's where I am. And it definitely makes a difference. It makes a difference in your family life. I mean, now we have all COVID going on, 2021, but it still makes a big difference. I get to see my husband so much more. And I do have a brick and mortar store, but it's right near my house. And I get to see my husband at lunchtime and every other thing. And that to me is true success. You know, I get to spend more time. And so you guys started that way. Now, I just have to ask you this. Do you have the same work ethic? I would think you'd have to in order to be able to work together.
Well, I think one thing that attracted us to each other when we first met and started dating years ago was this. We both had an independence and a drive. Fast forward to where we are today, we're married and we're obviously working together every single day. We have pros and cons for each of us. Like what I'm very weak in, she is very strong in, and then I have some strengths where she has some weaknesses. But I think the best part and sometimes the worst part about being a full-time reseller is everything is on you. And so it's not for everyone, but it is if you are that type of person where you can put 100% of the success and 100% of the failures on yourself and you never make any excuses, you never blame anything outside yourself, then it's very, very rewarding. You're always in control. And that's the way we both are.
That's fantastic. It really is. You're lucky to have found someone like that. With my husband, it's the same. My weaknesses are definitely his strengths and vice versa. And we laugh because we're like, thank God we don't have the same weaknesses because otherwise we wouldn't make it. So I think that's definitely fantastic. You guys are just so cute. I have to be me. I know this isn't it, but you're so cute together. I love you. So one thing, well, you're welcome. One thing I'm always telling people is consistency and persistence. And if you're not consistent and persistent, you shouldn't even start something. Is that how you guys are? Do you consistently do and with persistence?
Yeah, one thing that I'll add to that, that's absolutely true. Consistency and persistence that anyone that's listening to this or watching this that may help you is in consistency and persistence, you have to be able to pivot as well. It doesn't mean that you just beat your head against the wall with something over and over and over again for years. If it's not working, you have to be honest with yourself and make a small pivot until you find that thing that is working. And that doesn't mean it's going to work forever, but whatever's working right now, what we see is pour gas on what's working and stop being romantic to what's not. And that little final sentence, stop being romantic to what's not, is key, because someone could say, let's say in both of our examples, oh, I love reselling, but they're never making any money. They're never profitable. And they keep doing the same things. You got to make a pivot and figure out what works best for you in reselling so that you can actually be profitable while you enjoy it.
Right. Yeah, I totally get that. I had to pivot a little since I bought the brick and mortar. I can't go out thrifting as much, and I love thrifting. But yeah, you have to do whatever it is, especially now with social media. And I see you guys are all over the place, and which is fantastic. And I think some people don't realize that now, that is it. People who are my age, I'm going to be 57 this month, right? So people who are my age sometimes don't think like that. And it is part of the success, don't you think?
Wait, first, when is your birthday?
It's February 24th. I'm going to be 57. Oh, really?
Yeah.
So we'll have to celebrate you guys' birthday coming up.
Yeah.
Well, to answer your question about social media, again, you have to define what you think success is, because here's the reality. We're not even the biggest shoe resellers in Maine, and we do six figures in shoes. And the reason I mention that is the biggest resellers in Maine don't even have any social media.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
So we look at social media as a way to connect with other people. It's really good. We actually take a different approach when it comes to our social media. We do not try to sell to our following. We have a lot of people that reach out and want to buy shoes, and we direct them to the marketplaces like Poshmark and Mercari where we sell, and they can find us there. So if you're watching this, it does take up a lot of time. Social media does take up a lot of time, and there are pros and cons. Of course, you can drive traffic through social media to your sales, but it is absolutely not needed to be a very successful reseller.
Well, that's good for people to hear, because I know that there are some people who just aren't social media people, and they just, you know, they can't get it and they don't want to. So that's good for people to hear. I know a lot of people. Now, if you guys don't mind me asking, how old are you two?
I'm about to turn 31.
And I'm 37.
Oh, wow. You look so much younger. Okay, so that's good, because you got 3 different ages here. I know, I'm amusing, but you got 3 different ages, and, you know, people have to understand, I think, if they put in that hard work and do what needs to be done, you know, they can get what they want in life, whether that is being with their family or making money. You know, it's everybody's different, but I think that if people do it in their own way and they love it, like, I love the craziness of it all, and to me that's crazy, and it's me, you know. But I really love it, and I think if people don't, they're not going to be as successful. So now, before this, did you guys love sneakers, or did you just love it once you started seeing, wow, I could make money and have more of my free time?
I mean, I definitely always enjoyed shoes more than any other apparel item. But then obviously it becoming like a vessel for us to be able to create our own schedule and wake up every day and do whatever we want. Like, also enjoying the product was just bonus.
Okay.
I think
always kind of like shoes.
And I think it's crucial, because here's the reality: in a 2021 world, we don't even own a computer. We just do everything on our phones. Like, to have an instrument in your hand, your phone, there's no excuses. So you never want to force it. So just because we're very successful shoe resellers doesn't mean that you have to do shoes. There's a lot of people that have tried to do shoe reselling and they don't enjoy the shoes as much as us. One thing that Lindsay said in the very beginning that I think is crucial to repeat is, when we first started, we looked around our house and sold everything. We sold wooden bowls. We sold the toaster. We sold coffee makers. We sold furniture. We sold shoes. And then after we had done all the things, VCRs, we said, you know what? We don't enjoy reselling VCRs. We don't enjoy reselling furniture. But every time we grabbed a pair of shoes, we liked photographing them. We liked learning about them. We liked talking to people about them. And because of that, as Lindsay said, we enjoy the whole process. I think sometimes people get involved in reselling and they think all it is going to the thrift and on the treasure hunt, when really that's just the one singular part. You have to photograph, you have to put up a quality listing, you have to understand the marketplaces that you're using, and all that is just as important as going out to the thrift. And because we like the process with shoes, with all of that, it's very easy for us to work on our craft every single day. Back up 2 years ago, when we were trying to resell clothes, we really don't enjoy photographing clothes, and for whatever reason, we really enjoy photographing shoes. So we can't sit here and say you can't be profitable reselling clothes, because you can. You can make millions of dollars, but it's important to really focus on the things that you enjoy. We know people who love coffee makers and they love talking to people and taking them apart and fixing them. That's just you gotta find what you enjoy.
Well, it's funny, because when I started watching you guys, I had watched everybody, and I had started selling my own clothes out of my closet, but I left them there for 2 years and didn't even look if people had wanted them. I just didn't even look. I don't know why. And then when I finally started doing it, I'm looking around because I'm in my store, but I started selling all the clothes, and I still mostly sell clothes because that's what I have in my money pile. I don't call it a death pile. And but I put them in the store. I don't have to take pictures of them. I do have a lot on a website, but I prefer taking pictures of shoes and little jewelry and things because it's so much easier, it's so much faster, and I love it. So so I did find things that I love. I just have too many of the other things that I still have to put up. So so now with you guys, how many hours, I know it's different all the time because I do it, but how many hours would you say you work in a week? Is it different all the time?
Less than 40 for sure. I would say, I mean, we ship 6 days a week, so that takes us anywhere between an hour and 2 hours.
Okay.
So, that's 12 right off the bat. And then if we have a sourcing day, that's usually maybe a 10-hour day. So there's 22 hours. And then we have someone who photographs for us. We have someone who cleans for us. We have a listing team. So we don't
Thank God.
We do about half of the cleaning and photography, and we don't do any of the. So probably anywhere from maybe around 30 hours or something. It ends up being depending on the week.
And the reason is because when we first started, we didn't start because full-time resellers because we wanted to be a slave to our own business. We didn't want to work these 20+ hour days, but in the beginning, we absolutely work 20+ hours a day. And I think if you're listening to this, our focus literally since day one is what is working for us and how can we create efficiencies around freeing up more time while still continuing to make more money. And we've always thought about that. So over the last 3+ years, we've continuously modified our systems. And as Lindsay said, she just described perfectly our current system, which was built around 100-hour weeks. And then we said, okay, this is crazy. We don't want to work this much. How do we figure out how to hire someone and teach them for certain parts of the business? How do we find the right person? How do we get better with our shipping? How do we source more efficiently? How do we build sourcing routes where, as you mentioned in the beginning, we bring in 100 pairs in a single day? That isn't random. None of this is random. It's all very calculated. And it hasn't always worked. When it doesn't work, we figure out why it's not working, and then we create efficiencies. So present day, we can very comfortably tell you we do work 7 days a week, but we take a massive amounts of time off every single day. Our day most days ends at like 3 p.m. and we're enjoying dinner together. We're watching movies together. We go to bed early now because we don't have kids yet, but once we kids, we know we're not going to get as much sleep. But
that's all right. I see it. A lot of people do it. I didn't have any kids, but I see a lot of people who do it with 3 and 4 kids. So
yeah, we're excited. We're excited to build a family very, very soon. But what I'm trying to say is figuring out what's working, building efficiencies around that, what works for you, and then continuing to improve upon that with the goal, how do I free up more time, but how do I also make more money? It's not like some get rich quick. It's like, hey, if this thing takes me an hour, can I figure out how to do it in half an hour? If this thing takes me 10 hours, can we build a route that we can still get all these pairs, but do it in 6 hours and going from there?
And now, do you guys do that by, I know some people do it by graphing it or putting things on spreadsheets, or do you do it by what you see is going on every day? Like, how do you rate that?
We do keep track of we keep track of all of our numbers, and we have since day one, as far as every pair that has ever been purchased. We know exactly when we purchased it and how much it cost us. And every sale, we obviously keep track of where it sold, how it sold, whether it was like in a bundle or an offer or whatever. And then obviously what we got back and profit, and then how many pairs per day and all that. So we're very structured in our systems of keeping track. And also we have a lot of conversations together on a daily basis. I mean, we spend 99% of our time together. So we just have a lot of business meeting conversations about how this is going. And look at our numbers and kind of cross-reference and see some more concrete examples. But it's really just talks about the reality of what's going on.
Okay. And now when you're not working, and I love asking these things because some couples want to work together. When you're not working, are you still thinking about all of that? And if something comes up, do you still talk about it?
Yeah, I think the answer to your question comes back to we enjoy what we do. And I
Right,
think
right.
if you are someone who is forcing it, let's give an actual example. Let's say you really love shoes and clothing, but you see resellers that are absolutely crushing with electronics,
Right.
right? So you decide, hey, I'm going to go to the thrift. I'm going to start sourcing VCRs. I'm going to start sourcing electronics because they're making a lot of money doing this.
Right.
Then, but you don't enjoy it as much. You're going to find yourself wanting to take time off because you're like, I'm sick of looking at VCRs. I'm sick of testing them. And we don't run into that. We don't run
Okay.
into
Yep.
the time where we're like, oh my gosh, I can't look at shoes anymore. I just don't want to. Now, here's the reality. We may wake up one day and that may be the case, but we're very
Right.
honest with each other. We're very honest with ourselves. And then we'll just do something different. Like we're not forced to do anything. We both have skills that will allow us. Maybe we'll try a different category, but right now we're both enjoying the shoes. We're making a tremendous amount of money, more than we ever thought we could, and we haven't even scratched the surface of what our potential is. But if you are someone who needs to take vacation, needs time off, needs to like get away, you're annoyed, it's either because you're not being honest with the systems that you have in place, or you just don't like what you're interacting with. And you need to, absolutely, life is more important than just beating your head against the wall. You need to figure out which one of those things you can improve.
Yeah, it's definitely good for people to hear that because I think people stay stuck in the same thing. And it's the same for me. And I know I've spoken to so many other resellers that they just love it. Like I'm thinking about it all times a day. And even though my husband's not into it, he loves seeing me excited. And
Yeah.
and the money comes in. but that's not even it. He just loves seeing me with something that I love to do. So
Right.
yeah, I always go right back to that because I do believe that if you don't like it, like I've been wanting to sell things on eBay, and first of all, eBay to me, because I'm used to Poshmark and Mercari, and they're you don't have to, shipping and all that. But to me, it's a little bit more difficult, and I'm not willing to do that yet. I know I will be, but I do buy things for eBay, but I'm not as interested. So I think eventually I'm going to give those to my husband to put on Facebook Marketplace or something like that because he likes that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
so I totally hear what you're saying with that. So I have a last question to ask you, and then you could talk about whatever you want. I want you to give all your information out. But if you could give one tip, not to resellers, to anybody who wants to get a little bit better at something, improve their life, do something that makes them happy, what would that tip be?
I've got two.
Oh, good.
So we have the luxury of talking to hundreds of other people every single day through social media. They reach out with questions about shoes. They reach out questions about all this stuff. So we feel very grateful that people are connecting with us on a daily basis. And it boils down to two things, two tips, no matter what you're trying to do, that we see. It's very easy. What I'm about to say is very easy, but to apply it on a daily basis is very difficult. Number one, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with the person that's in the mirror. And I know that's kind of sounds corny, kind of kumbaya, but
It's true.
you have to be honest with yourself in whatever you're pursuing. When we first started, our goal was to pay all of our bills that first month, but we both honestly were like, I don't know if we can actually do this. We want to do this. We did it. We were like, we're not being honest with how big this thing really could get, and we set the bar a little bit higher. The second thing, and I think it's the most important, is don't compare yourself to other people.
Oh, yes.
So speaking from ourselves, we've had many conversations about this. In the very beginning, again, we didn't know if we could pay all our bills that first month, and then we did. But then which is a very big thing for us, we were comparing ourselves to other resellers that were selling millions of dollars in shoes, and we were like, we're not even close to what they are.
Yeah.
We must not be as good. And then when we stopped comparing ourselves, our business skyrocketed because all we were trying to do, as Lindsay said earlier, was we keep track of everything. So we said, okay, last month we did this. Why don't we just try to improve on what we did last month? So being honest with yourself and not comparing yourself to other people will allow you to really take on anything that you have going on in your world and improve upon that. So many times people say to us, they say, hey, I bought $1,000 in shoes today. And we're like, great. How many did you sell? Because it doesn't matter how many you buy, how many did you sell? And they're like, well, I didn't sell any and I haven't sold any in a month. And then we say, okay, you're putting up this front like you're successful when all you've done is spent a lot of money. We want you to make a lot of money. Let's get back to the root. And that comes from a place where you're not being honest with yourself and you're also comparing yourself to other people. So focusing on those two things will allow you to really accomplish anything.
And do you have anything to add to that, Lindsay, or are you good with his?
Well, and it's funny because that's literally, if she would have answered the same way. We get this question a lot, and that's through lots of conversations that we've already had. It's like, hey, remember when we were comparing ourselves? And then she's actually better at it than me in being honest with yourself. Like, for example, we'll be in a thrift and we'll see a dirty pair of shoes, and I'll be like, we can make money on this because we have clean shoes. And she'll say, hey, we got to be honest, like there's 10 other pairs that are pretty dirty that we got to clean before we bring on more dirty pairs. So this idea is those two things come from both of us.
Well, that's great. That's great. So I just want you to share anything that you'd like to with my audience, with your audience, just so that you can get that out there, and then I'll come back to you.
Share where they can connect with us, or share anything?
Yes, share where they can connect with you, anything you would like.
Yeah, we like to connect with people on Instagram. We're under Rinzy now, RNZYNOW. We do have a Facebook page. We do have a YouTube channel. We have a podcast. We have all the things because there's lots of people that are on each of those platforms that aren't on the other ones, and we like to connect with people. One thing that we will say, we have learned and built our business by asking other people questions, by doing a ton of research on Google, YouTube, on Instagram. And so all that information was free to us. And so we give out all of our information for free. We're never going to have any paid information, any paid course. We have a lot of respect for the people that do put together those courses. It takes a lot of time and effort, but it's just not how we learn. It's not how we are. So please, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you can always reach out. There's no such thing as a silly question. We talk to hundreds of people every day. It's very easy because of technology today to connect with all these people. And so reach out to us if you have any questions, obviously about shoes and about reselling. And we hope to, if you're watching this, and we hope to talk to anyone that watches this. Well,
that's one of the reasons why I really admire you guys, because, you know, that's what you do. You're giving free information, and you're the type of people that I learned from, and that's what I want to do back. So I'm thrilled that I got to have you guys on the show today. I'll continue watching you, and I just want to let everybody know that next week I'm going to have another reseller, and her seller name is Raven Vintage. And then coming up in March, I'm going to have Becky Park, and then eventually a few other people that I don't have specific dates with yet. But March, it's going to be March 10th with Becky. So thank you so much, guys, for joining me. I'll send you this link. Hope to speak to you again next year and hear 10 times more, that you either have 10 times more time, 10 times more money, or both. And love you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great one. You're welcome. Bye-bye.